This is episode 704, and I'm Greg Swanson. Today we're going to be talking about defragging your mind. You know, in the age of information overload, which we are in, and constant distractions, which there are plenty of, our minds can often feel cluttered, disorganized, sluggish, brain fog, whatever you want to label it. And just as a computer's hard drive can become fragmented over time, leading to decreased performance, our minds also can benefit from a defragmentation process. So defragging your mind or brain is the process of optimizing your mental resources, improving cognitive function, and achieving peak mental performance. Sounds pretty awesome, right? So in this podcast, we'll explore why and how to defrag your mind for enhanced productivity, clarity, and overall well-being. And one of my first missions, if you will, with a new client is find out how scattered they potentially are. We don't know how scattered we are until we realize how scattered we are, if that makes sense. So when they come to me, everything seems to be fine, right? They have 20 balls up in the air, they're doing this, they're doing that, and it seems to be working fine, but they're not getting enough done in each area, whether it's work, personal, working out. And this is because the brain or mind has become fragmented, right? It's all these tiny little parts accessing it. So when I go with my clients and start to help them construct their ideal day by creating an AM routine, a PM routine, a sleep routine, and a work routine, it kind of helps defrag the brain so things start to fall into place. And then after a few sessions, they have magically created a couple of hours of extra time in their day to do the stuff they want. So this is what's important about defragging, because it's slowly we get into this state and then we don't realize where we are until we get out of it. So let's explore this a little bit more, right? So the importance of defragging your mind, right? It boosts cognitive function. If you have weak and scattered thoughts, you're going to have weak and scattered results. And when we can defrag our mind, meaning put the things back together in place and have them all congruent, we're going to be able to boost our cognitive function. Think clearly. We'll have creative thinking, strategic thinking, critical thinking will come easy and effortless to us once we go ahead and defrag our mind. Also, we're going to have reduced stress and anxiety. If we're focusing on so many different things at one time, right, that's defragging. It's not focus. So you can't focus on many things because focus is one. But what you can do is pay attention to too many things. And when we pay attention to too many things, we unconsciously feel that all those things have to be done right now. And if we think they have to be done right now, we create stress and anxiety. And by defragging our mind, we can determine what to do and the importance of it, and then focus on doing it. And I've said this before, but focus is an acronym, right? It's follow one course until successful. It's not follow 20 courses, FOCUS, right? Follow one course until successful. And when we follow one course until successful and move on to the next one, this automatically will help us reduce our stress and anxiety. It's also because now we have more capacity, more mental capacity. It's going to enhance our creativity. And creativity is not just for artists, right? It can be you're facing a challenge at work and you are stuck with it because you got so much going on that you haven't defragged your brain. So now once you defrag it, you have access to that creative part of your mind and you can come up with creative solutions. And it could be art. It could be writing a book. It could be playing music. It could be that, but it also can be at work. So when we're able to tap into that creative side of us, we're then able to address a lot of issues that have been slowing us down. And then we can improve our productivity, right? We can become efficient. We can become effective and efficient. Effective is doing the right things. Efficient is doing those things right. You may be doing the right things, but you're doing them in the wrong order. You're doing them spread out throughout the day because you're quote focusing on too many things. And again, we have to get that out of your vocabulary. If you're saying you're focusing on too many things, that's an oxymoron. That's like jumbo shrimp, right? Because you can't focus on too many things. You can pay attention to too many things, but you only focus on one thing. And when you focus on one thing, your productivity increases because, again, you focus, follow one course till successful. You focus on that one thing, you get it done, and then you move on. And you will find that you will get more done by doing things in serial, like one thing gets done and you move, as opposed to parallel, meaning side by side. You will increase your productivity tremendously. So let's talk about how we can defrag our mind, right? We kind of have a software in there like we do on our computer, defrag it, and it takes the pieces and moves them and shuffles around and puts them together like a jigsaw puzzle. Well, we have to manually, if you will, do those things. One of them is mindfulness meditation. So mindfulness is a practice in itself, and meditation is a practice in itself, but we can combine them into a superpower practice, such as mindfulness is being here now, paying attention to what is going on. You can have mindful eating, you can have mindful reading, you can have a mindful conversation. All those things, it basically means be here now. Meditation is paying attention to perhaps your thoughts. It doesn't mean stopping your thoughts. A lot of people feel we have to stop our thoughts, and that's, pretty much next to impossible. So we have to be okay with it. But what we can do is observe our thoughts flying by like birds fly by our window. When birds fly by our window, we don't jump out and grab the bird and hold on to it. Well, that's like our thought. We just let the thought go by. So we're mindful of our thought because we are meditating, and then we let it go by. And then we notice our breathing. So the meditation is paying attention to, it could be a breath, it could be a mantra, it could be your thoughts, but it's paying attention to one, focusing right on one thing. And the mindfulness is being present to what is happening right then and there. And a lot of people, my clients will come to me, oh, I don't have time, I don't have. And I say, do you have 1 minute? Well, yeah, okay. So I go through a process to help them be mindful meditation for 1 minute. And then we do 1 minute and 15 seconds. And eventually, by the end of a couple of months, they're there doing 15 minutes, which they didn't even know they had that time. Now, we don't want to start off with 15 minutes because we'll do it one day and the next day our schedule will be mucked up and we won't do it. So we just want to commit to 1 minute. And we can do 1 minute of mindful meditation. Then declutter your physical space. Your physical space is a reflection of your mental space. So as above, so below, as inside, so outside. So if your office is a mess, if your house is a mess, it's a reflection of what's going on in your mind. So one way to help clean up your mind is to clean up the mess. So clean out your closet once a month. Straighten out your bookshelves. When you clean up, have you ever noticed how good it feels after you straighten things up? You take the books off, you put them in order, you dust it, or you take the clothes out of your closet, you throw away the old ones, you put them back there. You just feel good. You feel clarity. Well, that's because the internal is connected to the external and the external is connected to the internal. So when you declutter your physical space, you are actually decluttering your mind at the same time. And again, I would offer a recommendation to declutter a room at the maximum. At the minimum, declutter your closet once a month. Yes, it can use it once a month. Then prioritize and plan. So, right, this gets back to, oh, I'm focusing on too many things. No, you prioritize. So there's many ways of prioritizing. Find one that works for you. There's the Eisenhower matrix, which is important and urgent, or there can be other parts where is what's the first thing that's due today, and you get that done. Then you move on to what's due tomorrow and what's due the next day. That's a quasi takeoff on the Eisenhower matrix. And that's kind of what I work with is like, if I'm going to prioritize what is due tomorrow, what is absolutely due tomorrow, and I work on that first, and then I get into my fluffy stuff or stuff that isn't that important. And then I'll go, okay, what's due 2 days from now, 3 days from now, and I'll work on those. And again, we can have a prioritizing plan from a work perspective and a personal perspective, but we want to get our tasks there. And one of the other methods I've just started using is the doing the to-do, doing, done. In one column, you have a to-do list. You put as many things in there as you want. The next column, you have a doing. Those are the things that you are working on, but you can only put 5 things in there at a time. You can only be working on 5 things at a time. When you get one of those done, you move from the doing over to the done. Then you go over the to-do and slide one over. But the key is you keep adding to your to-doing list, and eventually those things aren't even going to be important anymore, because then you're working on the doing list and you're moving those over to the done. So that is another way of prioritizing and planning. So then there's practice mindful breathing. This can be done at any time. You can do a box breathing 4x4x4, inhale by 4, hold your breath for 4, exhale by 4, hold your breath for 4, or you can do an inhale to a count of 7, exhale to a count of 11. These breathing techniques are to engage your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest, helps you calm down and relieve stress. You can do these anywhere. You can include these in your mindful meditation, which is awesome. But we also want to be able to include those. If you're in traffic and you're getting all frustrated, practice mindful breathing. If you come to a red light instead of a green light, practice mindful breathing. If you're going to go in for a big interview or an important conversation, practice mindful breathing. So you want to get this practice of mindful breathing as a practice, right? It's not a perfect, but you want to be able to call on it anytime you're feeling a little bit stressed or overwhelmed, and this will help you defrag your mind. And then digital detox, preferably over the weekend, but at least pick one day where you do not get on your computer and you only use your phone to make a call. You get away from all the social media, you get away from the texting, you get away from the emails, you get away from everything. You go out and walk in nature or go in a forest, because a forest is for rest, and you completely disconnect. People think, oh, I can't do it. Well, you can, because we did it before we had these phones. So you can do it, it's just you don't want to do it. So when you do it and enjoy the benefits of it, you will make sure that you block out time once a week to have a complete digital detox. And then learning to say no. This is about setting up boundaries. Most of my clients come to me with no boundaries for work, no boundaries with family, no boundaries with friends, and they feel overwhelmed and they just feel stressed out. Saying no is saying yes to yourself. So when you say no to somebody, you're actually saying yes to yourself. Yes, I'm important. I need time off. Yes, I'm important. I need to do this instead. So learning to say no. We can say no in many ways. It doesn't have to be no, right? There are different ways, but learning to say no is setting up your boundaries, and your boundaries define your oasis, your sanctuary. Without no's, there is no oasis, there is no sanctuary, and everybody comes tromping in your mental house and your mental space, taking up time. But setting up those boundaries by saying no, you create your own personal mental oasis. So defragging your mind is a vital step towards achieving peak mental performance and overall well-being. By reducing mental clutter, improving cognitive function, and enhancing creativity, you can unlock your full potential and live a more fulfilling life. So incorporate mindfulness, organization, and self-care practices into your daily routine to keep your mind in optimum tip-top condition. Remember that achieving a defragmented mind is an ongoing process. So be patient and consistent with your efforts, and you'll see great rewards from it. The reward of a clear, organized mind are well worth the investment of time and energy. If you want to see the show notes on this podcast, you can visit warriormindcoach.com. While you're over there, you can find more useful information in the form of other podcasts and blog posts. And since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, under Warrior Mind Coach.